no one likes their own cooking, Roger. No one.
I know. I hate my own
But
voice.
yeah, I don't. If you want, I can make a little 15-minute blend for you.
I
Cause
can
like,
do it. I mean, I'm like, I've literally got Blender open right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could actually go and do it as we speak, but I don't
I
know.
haven't gotten
I,
on.
when you have something that you know you're supposed to do, but you really don't want to do it because something in your brain says, man, you have to do it, but you know you don't want to do it.
Yeah, that's my assignment work right now.
Yeah. So you know you're supposed to focus on that, but then you start having all these other things pop up into your head to distract you, so you don't do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I've got projects written down in my to-do list that have been gone for 2, 3, 4 years now.
mm-hmm. Drives me nuts. So tonight, man, this is the big one. This is the one that freaking Donald Trump started here recently. He had, I guess he would be the prime minister for South Africa. I'm not quite sure how.
Fashion, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm just going to state that it is not really something that Donald
Well,
Trump
I know.
started.
Let me
It
finish.
has been going on for some time now.
It has been going on, but he had him to the White House and he started talking about white farmer genocide. And
Which in one way I thought was a very simple tactic, but in another way I thought was a very clever tactic.
well,
Trump.
I know that it goes a lot farther back, but it's a lot more important too because it's not. Like I said before we started recording, this is freaking something that has been going on for a long time. But the deal is it's not a freaking racial incident. These farmers are being murdered. It doesn't matter what the color of their skin are. The murder rates are freaking insane when it comes to this topic.
It has become a
And
more racial issue,
Well,
though.
that's because of
the thing is, over there, it's
white
a racial issue,
nationalists.
100%,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's a you see that all started because it was perpetuated by white nationalists down there. And it's like I said before the show started,
Agreed.
when
Actually, when you think about it, there wasn't that much of a problem with the sort of transition of power between the white skinned people and the dark skinned people in like 1994 when Nelson Mandela took over. He actually kind of promoted peace and forgiveness and stuff like that. Just let me
That,
finish, Mark, before
yeah,
you
okay.
bring in your British denialism.
Mhm.
Let me just finish my point.
I agree.
And what
Horrible
happened
British
after
dude.
that is other sort of outside influences came into the country seeking to destabilize and bring in other types of ideologies after Mandela. And I think that's when it got a lot worse, where they stoked this racial division and stuff like that in the media. And now you've got certain political parties openly asking for murder and stuff like this of the white people. And I would say things have gotten a lot worse since the 90s compared to now, is what I'm saying.
Well, I agree with that point, but I disagree with the point that it was caused after Mandela's time. I argue that it was caused during Mandela's time, and Mandela was
What makes you say that?
an impetus for this issue.
Well, he never asked for racial
Uh,
justice or
he
anything like
didn't.
that.
He
He didn't.
what he
Slow down. You're freezing up.
put him in the first place.
You have to repeat yourself. Everything you just
Remember,
said kind
he
of.
was a terrorist.
What?
I mean, Mandela isn't
Before he
the
was arrested, like
Mandela.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
Mandela
before he
isn't
went to
some sort of
prison, after he went to prison, he was a different person.
amazing peacekeeping of peace, Nick, um, the image of the what's the term I'm looking for?
See, there's actually a lot of like
Um,
a lot of like people in the West get like only partial information about Nelson Mandela, and I think
yeah,
that he gets a lot of flack that he doesn't deserve. Like he was part of the resistance movement, like in the early days during apartheid, but after
who also
like
aided
he
in
tried
the
to go into
bombing of
politics, right?
civilians,
And he
therefore a
tried to
terrorist.
Hold
well,
on.
He wasn't wearing a
he was backed by
uniform.
some
He wasn't
people.
a military
Mark,
um,
Mark, there's no such thing as a terrorist.
member
All
of the
right, you need to get
military.
that out of your
He
head.
was
That is
oh,
literally just
please,
like that's just a term that people use
please,
to
please,
demonize
please,
other
don't go
people.
down on the
Okay,
terrorist
Just,
freedom
hold up,
fighter
hold up.
just like
argument.
the word conspiracy theorist is it's a tactic that people use to demonize certain people.
What
One
was
man's
he
terrorist is
initially
another
arrested
man's freedom
for?
fighter. You got to remember that.
What
And at
was
that
what
time,
what was his initial arrest?
Sorry, no, no,
Hold
no,
up,
no,
hold up.
no, no,
Hey,
no, no, no.
what was he initially arrested for and held in prison for?
I think it was for voting.
Uh,
He tried to vote, and then they threw him in prison because black people weren't allowed to vote then.
well, the reason for his long-term imprisonment was because of a bombing. They aided and abetted in a bombing of a civil. I can't remember the exact details, but a bombing
I'm
of
looking it up.
civilian facility.
Now,
True, I didn't know that.
the the thing.
Well, yes, just you do some homework before you start saying
He was imprisoned for his opposition to the
no.
apartheid regime. He was initially arrested and sentenced to 5 years in prison for leaving the country illegally and conspiracy to overthrow the government in 1962. However, his imprisonment was extended after he was tried and convicted in the Rivonia trial in 1964 for sabotage, treason, and violent conspiracy. Mandela was sentenced for life imprisonment for conspiring to overthrow the state. The South African government used discriminatory laws and brutal repression measures to counter
Yeah, no,
resistance movements against apartheid, including
that's
the
all
ANC.
propaganda.
So you got to take that with a grain of salt because they were pretty like totalitarian against
That's
black
with
people at that
in a
point.
very sort of
Well,
that's written in a very
you
sort of
know that
calm
there was violence that was committed and he was arrested for it. But the
But you got to
rest of that
understand the
is really
context, though, right?
propaganda. Yeah,
The context of it is they were an oppressed people, and they
right,
were just simply like resisting that oppression. And in my view, that's fairly justified violence.
right.
And the fact of the matter is, though, after he got out of prison, he was all for peace. His entire presidency never said a harmful word. You
All right.
know, like I watched him the entire time. My dad actually met him at one point. He was a very honorable, peaceful person and a great leader among the black people, especially. And his
Okay,
impact lasted
maybe
a long
in his
time.
latter years, maybe
Hmm?
in his latter years he was a honourable, peaceful person, but in the earlier years, that
No,
is
no, he
far
was like
away.
100% Rainbow Nation. Let's come together from the beginning. I was there the day he
No,
got
no,
his
Ah,
as you
sentence.
do some research in relation to um,
Mark, I was there. I
uh,
watched the
bomb,
TV. I saw it
the
all with my own eyes.
bomb military installations, power plants, telephone lines, and transport links during the 1960s.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the 90s when he got into
Yeah,
power. After that, he was all for
yeah,
peace.
but you made a statement that he was just a peaceful bystander.
I said after
Which
he
is
got out
not
of
true.
prison, I
now,
said after he got out
Yes,
of
that's
prison,
why I
he was a
caveat.
peaceful
now
person.
see,
That's why I caveat.
let me kind of put my 2 cents on this. Now, this is something that I can take from it. Now, Mr. Robot, you said that there was outside influences, and for me, I believe it was both outside and it was internal influences.
Agreed.
Now, when you turn around and you look at what took place, now I have no doubt in my mind that when Mandela got out of prison, he was thinking peace. Okay, that doesn't even cross my mind any doubt in that. But what I do have to say is I've been doing extensive research when it comes to South America, and I've had a conversation with you about Cecil Rhodes, which here in the near future we're going to do a show
You
on.
mean South Africa?
Right.
You said South America.
Well, Cecil Rhodes, but
Yeah.
but eventually we're going to do an episode on that. And the reason why I was so curious about Cecil Rhodes was because of something that kind of crossed into an area here in the United States that we had. Cecil Rhodes was actually the guy who made it to where people had to freaking have a certain amount of wealth before they could vote, and he did that intentionally so he could suppress the freaking black people to where they couldn't vote.
Just on a minor
And
point,
now,
his name is pronounced Cecil, not Cecil. I know it's maybe an
Cecil
American term.
Rhodes,
Yeah.
Cecil Rhodes.
Indeed.
But the deal is that progressed. You know what I'm saying? And I hear a lot of people like to freaking say, you know, we need to recognize those exiles who were exiled from Rhodesia. They were freaking just treated wrong, and that's not what happened. That's not how it played out. What happened is their white supremacist freaking government was overran by a freaking another government. And these white supremacists who supported that government fled the country because they didn't support the idea of black people having freedom. Okay? And they went off to these other countries, which were pretty much all English freaking colonial governments that you can find everywhere. And you see this huge expansion in white supremacy going on all through freaking these colonies, and this has grown. You know what I mean? It's become an epidemic, and now all of a sudden everybody in all of these countries are freaking racially motivated. They're and it was because of what happened in the late 1980s and early 1990s. Man, these people who were
Actually,
from South Africa literally spread their hate freaking worldwide.
I disagree because a lot of this was pre-1950s. In fact, arguably pre-20th century.
That's what I was talking about. Cecil Rhodes.
You are looking at a totally different.
I just mentioned Cecil Rhodes. It started at Cecil Rhodes in Rhodesia.
He died in 1902.
Right. Exactly. And the things he did, he was not an honorable man at all. He was very freaking vicious and a cruel man. He treated people like crap. Okay.
I mean, if I was in that situation, I'd rather be ruled by Britain than, let's say, Denmark.
Denmark was just as bad.
Yeah, Denmark was even worse.
Denmark and England. I mean, why would it even be a comparison? The atrocities these people did. You know what I mean?
But every empire had its atrocities. The various African nations prior to colonialism had atrocities.
Name one.
As an example, the capturing of